Hello everybody, my name is Elizabeth Elrod, and this is my story. Today is episode 2. I wanted to talk about, first of all, I wanted to talk about my camera. I know that the first episode was a little grainy and a little rough. I used the computer on my laptop, and every time I would barely move the monitor, it made this really crunchy noise, which I didn't really like, but I also didn't really want to tell all of that over again. So I've decided to switch to my phone camera, and I know all of you are going to get mad at me because I'm doing it. I'm not doing it in like a landscape way, I'm doing it in a portrait mode, but this is also a lot easier to hold. So I'm just going to keep doing it like this, and this is more something that you're probably going to listen to rather than watch. I mean, you can watch me, but I just figured this would be easier for me, and more conducive to the project. So, today is March 31st, 2020. It is Trans Day of Visibility. When I was still attending school at Ohio University, I still kind of am. It's currently online, but when I was there in person, we planned on having sort of a picnic for Trans Day of Visibility, or doing some sort of activity, um, as well as hanging trans flags all over the student center. Well, all gender flags, not just transgender, but transgender, genderqueer, gender non-binary, all that good stuff. Um, Unfortunately, we couldn't do that because of, COVID-19. So, here I am. It's Trans Day of Visibility. And I've been inside all day. It's very cold and dreary outside, and it's been kind of a rough day for me. I've talked about what it's like to live with someone who doesn't accept you, but I haven't really talked about it in depth. So, yesterday, as I was literally doing my online classroom work, having a video chat with my professor and all the other students, and my mom walks through the living room, and she's talking about me, and she starts to reference me as a he. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's a process called misgendering. Misgendering, I said that kind of badly. So misgendering is when you know what someone's pronouns are, or even if you don't. But typically, a lot of times, it's when you know what someone's pronouns are, and then you use the incorrect pronouns. She's been doing this off and on throughout my time here at her home. I've been here for a little over a week. I got here Monday the 23rd, and this time has reminded me why I left in the first place, because I had a mental breakdown yesterday. So I'm having some trouble with insurance companies. Nothing actually trans related. It's just trying to get medicine copays covered. And Mom needed help with a computer. She wasn't sure if something was right, if she had done something right. She hadn't. So as I was trying to fix it, I could also see her message that she had sent to the insurance company, and in the message she had used my dead name. For those of you who don't know, a dead name is the name that is assigned to you by your parents or by your guardian. Um, and it's dead because as you transition, you don't want anyone to use that name because it makes you very uncomfortable and it causes trauma. It causes dysphoria, which is trauma. So, after seeing her call me her son and seeing the dead name and seeing the misgendering and hearing the misgendering yesterday, I just broke down and started crying. Um, and it's unfortunate, but it was a common thing that had happened before I had left her house. So I think on this Trans Day of Visibility, I'm going to tell the story of how I left living with my mother. So my father died in 2015 of adenocarcinoma, is how I believe it's pronounced. It's a cancer of the gland. Dad had cancer in the lacrimal gland of his eye. And it kept spreading. And it just got worse and worse. And after being in remission 2 times, it finally hit him hard enough that he wasn't going to make it. And so Dad passed away before I even figured out that I was trans. So after Dad died, the grief along with the shock and coping with gender dysphoria, all of those things mixed together drew me into drug addiction. I was on some fairly heavy substances the first time. I had done cocaine. I had some really bad experiences with LSD. I was smoking marijuana almost daily. I was chain smoking cigarettes. I was snorting pills. And it just kept getting worse. I had been hospitalized. This is a couple years later after Dad died, and I was still living in Athens. This was the first time I went to school. It's a story for another time. But I was still living in Athens when he died, and, well, I was with him when he died, but after Dad died, it's been a long day. And things just kept getting worse, and I couldn't really afford to keep living there in Athens, and I was so unhappy, and I thought, well, maybe if I come home, things will be better. Things didn't get better. It really wasn't until like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I was home that I realized that I needed to be hospitalized for suicidal ideation. And it was after I had gotten out of the hospital for that I got into a rehab. Rehab is a very long story, and that's another story for another day. But after I got through rehab, I maintained my sobriety for probably about 3 months, and then I relapsed. on crystal meth. I was using crystal meth for about 6 months when I finally got clean, with the help of my adoptive mother. She saved my life, her and my counselor. But even though I was clean, I knew something was missing. And if you're a recovering addict, you'll know what I mean by this. I could just feel the relapse coming on. I saw the signs, I saw the writing on the wall. I knew that it was coming, and I had to be completely honest with myself to get my mental state to a place where I was comfortable living in that space without wanting to push it down with drugs. Because that's what gender dysphoria did to me, and to a lot of other trans people who experience gender dysphoria. So gender dysphoria it's this incredibly intense trauma and anxiety and pain that comes from not feeling like you're in the right body, or like you're not living the right role, or it's something's wrong. I think saying that I wasn't born in the right body is too simplific, and it's not right. But you just feel like something's wrong. And not every trans person experiences gender dysphoria, but that it was something that once I realized it was there, I realized I had experienced it my whole life. I realized that if I wanted to stay clean, that I needed to be honest with myself and tell myself that I wasn't living my life authentically, and I was pretending to be someone who I wasn't. And that's when I finally said it out loud. I told my counselor, I said, I think I'm trans. And they said, no, I'm trans. And that was such an intense moment for me. Because once I said it, it was there, you know. I had just put that out into the world, and I had given it to someone else. You know, I had said a couple times before to other people that I think I might be trans. But once I said I'm transgender, that hit me. That hit me pretty hard. And those of you who know me personally know that I'm pretty driven. And once I get my mindset on something, I go for it. So I made a plan to start transitioning. I started growing out my hair. I started playing with makeup. I I told some really close people, some really, really close people, and I started to try to think about what I needed to do. Mom started noticing that I was wearing just the slightest bit of makeup. Honestly, it was probably bad. The way that I remember it is that I think it was so natural looking that she couldn't have possibly noticed. I was using a shade of foundation that was probably like, like 4 or 5 shades too dark for my skin. I was using stage makeup. I was I was using I was I was using an eyebrow pencil as eyeliner. Yeah, it wasn't good. I look back at pictures of myself then, and it's like, oh, she was busted. But you know, it's a process. But I told my mom finally because she said, "What are you doing wearing that makeup?" And I said, "You know, Mom, I just remember how I told you that I think I might be a girl." I had told her back a couple years later, and she just kind of ignored me, and I know that she just wanted it to go away. Um, and I said, "Well, I am a girl, and I'm gonna start transitioning." She let that sit with her for about a week, and I think someone that she told got it into her head that if she gave me an ultimatum of you have to you have to dress like a boy and live like a boy and continue to pretend to be a boy. Those obviously weren't her words, those are my words. It was more like you can't be wearing makeup and you can't be wearing dresses in my house because this is my house. And she said, if you want to continue living with me in my house, then you need to stop doing that. And I think it was a bluff because whenever she said that, I said, okay, then I'm leaving. And she said, okay. And so I grabbed a box and I started packing my stuff up. And I posted on my new Facebook account that I had made with my real name, with the few friends that I had on it at the time. And I said, Mom wants me out of the house. Is there anyone that's willing to let me stay with them for a while? And I'm not going to disclose who it was because I don't want to name names in this video story because it's about me. I won't even say the names of my mom. I said my brother's name, but I'm going to, from here on out, try to avoid names. But this incredible family who I had experienced with in local theater for a couple of years, and who I am so eternally grateful to. They took me in, and as I was leaving with just the bare essentials, my mom saw me starting to load up my car, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Mom, you told me you didn't want me living here. If I'm going to live like me. And she said, well, you don't have to leave now. It's so messed up. It's so messed up. You know, I think she was just calling a bluff, but she had hurt me because she was trying to force me to be someone I didn't want to be. So, that's how I left home. A couple days later, I had found a more permanent home in Portsmouth with my cousin and a friend, and I came out on my Facebook, my dead Facebook, that still actually exists for posterity, but I came out on that Facebook and said that I'm transgender, and my name is Elizabeth Rose Elrod. I'm going to try something. I want to try to read the post to you.